with the introduction of carte de visite, or the visiting card-size photograph in India around 1860s, photography in India took a dramatic turn.
A photographer by the name of Disderi, he invented an equipment wherein there are more than 4 lenses. And by a kind of a moving shutter, about 4 or 6 photographs could be taken on a single plate, and later on they were cut into the size of 4 inches by 2.5, almost the size of the visiting card. So they were known as carte de visite. And this became, as they were cheaper, this could reach to the common man.
But it was in the early 1860s, photography in India received its major thrust. The Viceroy, Lord Canning, became a major patron of photography in India. He encouraged the use of this medium to document the exotic settings and the astonishing diversity of the ethnic types in the country. He initiated the use of photography in archaeological field operations. The British government employed over 28 photographers for this purpose. This brought about an excellent documentation of the ancient monuments and archaeological wonders of India. Some of the most significant work of that period was done by Captain E. de Leon.
Could you tell us a little bit about the photographs in this album?
Actually, as I told you earlier, the Britishers were rather keen to document the archaeological monuments of our country. This had a manifold purpose. One was to take with them to their mother country, motherland, to show to the people what the land of India is like. And another was to serve as a rather very accurate architectural documentation of this country. These are still very important documents for us. Actually, this particular album, this is on the architecture of Ahmedabad. It is written by Ferguson, but the photography is by Colonel Biggs. He had actually come to India in 1853, and he started his work in photography of documenting these monuments. But during the mutiny he went back, and after a year or two he came back and continued his work. And this was published in 1866. There are about 125 original photographs of all these important Muslim monuments of the city. And there are some very important photographs of the Swaminarayan temple, Hathi Singh temple, which were still under construction. You can see this, certain stones are still, yes, they are still being carved, and this gate of the Swaminarayan temple is still incomplete.
Right.
Immediately after the mutiny, there was a big change in the administration of Awadh, because Wajid Ali Shah was removed to Calcutta, and a new administrative setup was made, wherein new talukdars and nawabs were appointed for various localities. So this is a documentation of all those talukdars and nawabs of Awadh, but it gives a very accurate picture of their variety of costumes, variety of their headdresses, even their hairstyles.
Photography moved inside a variety of Indian worlds. It became increasingly patronized by the royalty as well as the masses. But the high standard Indian photography, creating sophisticated photographs with an Indian vision, were usually the court photographers. One of the most popular amongst them was Lala Dindayal. Lala Dindayal, an amateur who later turned into a professional, patronized initially by the British and later by the Nizam of Hyderabad. Lala Dindayal's excellent work of capturing ancient Indian architecture and documenting the official visit of governor generals, earls, dukes and army generals brought him fame.
So whatever he left for us was of a very high quality of photographic art and a documentation of the court life. There were those army marches and darbar scenes and interiors of the palaces, then shikars. Shikar became a very important subject for these photographers.
By the 1870s, there were commercial photographers in every large city in India. There even developed specialized photography studios for ladies.
Even this, I think, was meant, it seems these photographs, I mean, the title of this album is The Beauties of Lucknow. The photographer seems to be an Indian. I don't know why, but I get a feeling that these are taken by an Indian. But meant for the Britishers, to show them the type of dresses, costumes worn by the dancers and singers of Lucknow. This is also a very important album because these are all well-known dancers and singers of Lucknow during the time of Wajid Ali Shah.
It was during this period that Maharaja Sawai Ram Singh II of Jaipur opened a studio in his palace and called it Photo Ka Karkhana. He acquired a vast number of photographic equipments from abroad. He also opened an all-women's Zenana studio. The introduction of the dry plate in India in 1870, Kodak No. 1 camera in 1888, and the introduction of color photography in 1887 saw the dawn of a new era in photography. Cumbersome apparatus gave way to handheld cameras, and the advent of color photographic reproduction initiated a mass market for photography. With easier and better photographic equipments and subsequent popularity of this new art form, there was a proliferation of photographic firms all over India by the 1890s. The craving of the people to have their likeness taken had spread fast, resulting in setting up of studios in Ambala, Agra, Bangalore, Lucknow, Peshawar, Secunderabad, Pune, Tiruchirappalli and Moa.
This is also very important. Around 1894, the king of Jodhpur, Jaswant Singh, he thought of making a kind of a census report of all the tribes and castes of Jodhpur. And he made this in 3 or 4 volumes. And he has recorded all the tribes in photographs. And the actual photographs were stuck in these reports.
This could be the first census of its.
Maybe it seems so. First census of this kind of.
The introduction of animated photographs in India by Mr. Stevenson of Madras in 1896 added a new dimension to photography. It introduced the concept of moving pictures and films. The early 20th century saw the emergence of painted photographic forms. Hurichand Chintamon, a photographer in Bombay, produced wonderful painted photographs heralding this new concept. Painted photographs represented a new expressive form for the Indian image makers.
The flag of Indian independence was unfurled amidst deafening shouts of Inqilab Zindabad, long live revolution. India's cry for independence resounded all over the world.
This was a time when the drumbeat for the movement for Swaraj was getting louder and louder and rapidly assuming a mass appeal. It was snowballing into a unique movement of non-violent, non-cooperation and boycott of foreign goods. Indians who practiced photography persisted with it, thus using the medium to preserve for all eternity the people, places and events that were cascading across the Indian subcontinent. The Indian freedom struggle was captured in its many hues by the camera. With the Indians trying to make space for themselves and bent on creating their own individual identity, independent from the British, they formed photography and camera clubs. The earliest of these predominantly Indian clubs was the Camera Pictorists of Bombay, started in March 1932. This was followed by the formation of camera clubs in Ahmedabad, Calcutta, Bangalore, Trichy, Karur, Madras, Tanjore, Lahore and Surat. Despite lack of sophisticated photographic equipments and materials, photography was pursued and encouraged by various camera clubs, photographic societies and individuals.
1932 में ये मेरे पहले कैमरा है और धमन वाला लिया था मैंने ऐसा, मगर उससे काम नहीं होता था आउटडोर में, तो इस कैमरे से हम बाहर जाते और आप जैसे मित्र को बोलते हैं कि बेन जी आपको फ़ोटो खिंचवाना है तो हम मुफ्त फ़ोटो खींच देंगे, तो बोला कि अच्छा हमको मुफ्त फ़ोटो खींच दे तो कौन फ़ायदा नहीं उठा रहे, तो आप एक रोल का पैसा मेरे को दो, 1 रुपये का 2 आना का रोल आता था। और 42 साल में मैंने बहुत लिया फ़ोटो, पूरा अहमदाबाद शहर का जो कुछ भी कर्फ्यू हो और कुछ भी प्रसंग हो, कोई भी मौका हो तो हम उधर पहुंच जाते और अपने कैमरा 2-3 हमारे 6 कैमरा थे और मेरे हाथ में 6 असिस्टेंट था मेरे पास, तो कोने कोने पर सब खड़े रह जाए, मालूम नहीं पड़े और जो ऐसा निकाल के फोटो खींच के चले जाते हम लोग को।
In the euphoria that ensued, there was a feeling that Indians could and should do well in all that they attempted. The field of photography was no exception. These were merely the beginnings of how a culture like ours took to modern technology. While characters in Indian paintings appeared to be larger than life, the camera just did the opposite, exposing life as it is, thereby creating an Indian sensibility out of an alien medium.
I mean, this is not just merely a documentation of a particular era or a particular kind of a way of life or their garments. I mean, it is all very important to us. But then further importance is this, that it provides us a kind of a missing link. I mean, many a times we are feeling that what happened of our Indian painting during the British time, it was almost dead. And our contemporary Indian painting. But I think this photography, our old Indian photography, provides a real clue to this whole missing link of our contemporary Indian art or the history of Indian art.